We have a breaking update coming in. A big diplomatic win for the country after Jaishankar and the Iranian counterpart spoke over the phone call just yesterday. Safe passage has been given to the Indian tankers via the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, that is one passage, one waterway that has been blocked by Iran. But as far as India is concerned, now we're learning that a safe passage will now be given to the Indian tankers that will be passing through that waterway. Indian tankers Pushpak and Parimal have gotten the safe passage. So that's a big diplomatic win for India. Remember, Jaishankar as well as his counterpart spoke over a phone call just yesterday. After that, Dr. S. Jaishankar also put out a post on social media detailing on the phone conversation between him and his counterpart. And after that, we're learning that now a safe passage has been given to the Indian tankers that will be passing through the Strait of Hormuz. In the last 13 days, several vessels there have come under attack. As far as Persian Gulf is also concerned, just a while back, 3 tankers were also attacked there. But as far as India is concerned, Indian tankers Pushpak and Parimal have gotten the safe passage. On that, let me go across to my colleague Amit, who's been tracking all the details. Good morning, Amit. बताया जा रहा है काफी बड़ा डिप्लोमेटिक विन है इंडिया के लिए. इंडिया के वेसल्स को अभी स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज से जाने दिया जाएगा. काफी पिछले 13 दिन में काफी वहां वेसल्स है उनको अटैक किया गया है. ईरान के द्वारा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भी ली गई है इस चीज के बारे में. बट पुष्पक और परिमल जो इंडियन वेसल्स है, अब उनको सेफ पैसेज दे दिया गया है. इस बारे में आप क्या और जानकारी दे सकते हैं?
जी देखिए, ये एक बड़ी सफलता है डिप्लोमेटिक लेवल पर. और इसको अगर देखा जाए तो भारत सरकार की तरफ से जयशंकर लगातार इसको लेकर बातचीत कर रहे थे, काउंटर पार्ट से बात कर रहे थे. लेकिन मंगलवार की रात को लेट बात जो फाइनल बात हुई है उसमें एक तरह से ये बीच का रास्ता निकाला गया है. और देखिए, ये जो तमाम अपोजिशन ये कह रहे थे कि हमने भारत ने जो अपने रिश्ते खराब कर लिए हैं ईरान के साथ, ये साफ दिखता है कि भारत ने अपने रिश्तों को कैसे बचाए रखा. इस लड़ाई के बीच में भी भारत ने अपने रिश्तों को प्राथमिकता दी और इसीलिए ईरान को मनाने में कामयाब रहे. और ईरान इस बात को लेकर सहमत हुआ कि भारत के जो वेसल्स हैं, जो भारत के फ्लैग जो वेसल्स हैं, उनको जाने दिया गया. परिमल को जाने दिया गया, पुष्पक को जाने दिया. एक बहुत बड़ी बात है कि ऐसे समय पे जब यूएस, यूरोप, ब्रिटेन, तमाम देशों के जो वेसल्स है उसको रोका गया है, इस बीच में भारत के वेसल्स को जाने को दिया गया है. 2 निकल गए और मुझे लगता है आने वाले 2-4 दिनों में आपको इसकी संख्या और बढ़ेगी. जो भी भारत के करीब 40 के आसपास जो फंसे हुए वेसल्स है वो भारत की तरफ होगा. इसके अलावा दूसरी तरफ कल लगातार, हालांकि रशिया से बातचीत हो रही, कल फिर रशिया के काउंटर पार्ट से बात की है जयशंकर ने कि कैसे जो ऑयल सप्लाई को और तेजी किया जाए, उसको और बढ़ाया जाए. तो भारत का जो सप्लाई चेन है, जो आप कह सकते हैं कि ऑयल का और गैसेस के, उसको किसी तरह से नुकसान ना पहुंचे, उसको वो कंटिन्यू बना रहे, इसको लेकर सरकार कोशिश कर रही है, लगातार बातचीत कर रही है. और प्रधानमंत्री ने पहले दिन ही इस बात, जो सीसीएस की बैठक हुई थी 1 मार्च को, उसमें कहा था कि हमको इस पर फोकस करना है कि इस लड़ाई का जो असर है भारत के लोगों पर ना हो, उसके लिए तमाम जगहों पर बात करनी चाहिए. तमाम मंत्रियों को उन्होंने बाद में कैबिनेट की बैठक में भी कहा था कि आम लोगों तक ये दिक्कतें ना हो. तो मुझे लगता है बहुत बड़ी डिप्लोमेटिक जीत के तौर पर इसे आप देख सकते हैं कि ऐसे वक्त पर जब ईरान ने तमाम दूसरे देशों के जहाज को रोक रखा है, भारत के 2 जहाज को जाने का एक सेफ पैसेज दिया है जो अब वहां से निकल चुके हैं. और आने वाले टाइम में मुझे लगता है और भी इसकी संख्या बढ़ेगी जब भारतीय जहाजों को वहां से आने को मिलेगा.
Absolutely. This is a big diplomatic win for India after Dr. S. Jaishankar and his counterpart spoke over the phone call yesterday. And in a social media post, in fact, Dr. S. Jaishankar also mentioned that both of them have decided to remain in touch. There is a big diplomatic win for the country. Indian tankers will now be able to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, that is a waterway, a choke point where several of the vessels are stuck currently. On the average, every day, more than 100 vessels used to pass through that strait. But now we're learning that that number has come down to less than 10 a day. But now Indian tankers will be able to pass through that choke point. For more on that, let me go across to former diplomat Suresh Goyal. Thank you so much, sir, for connecting with us. How do you look at this changing scenario between India and Iran? Because Dr. S. Jaishankar held a phone conversation with his counterpart yesterday. They both decided to be in touch. And now there's a big diplomatic win. Our Indian tankers will now be able to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, a waterway that has been completely blocked by Iran.
Matter of quite a bit of satisfaction and happiness, I think. If Indian vessel has passed through the Straits of Hormuz. We all know it's a choke point. We all know that the war being now going on in Iran, it is always a problem. USA has, though, said that they will escort the vehicles through the Straits, but frankly speaking, given the kind of conditions which prevail, any kind of passage of ships through the Strait is dicey and is a problem really. Therefore, all I would say is a matter of great happiness, satisfaction, and I think in a way testimony to the good relations between India and Iran, which have come to our support and our help. But at the same time, I would say that for a long time to come, we need to exercise caution and avoid Straits of Hormuz as a transition point for either oil or trade connectivity, either way.
Absolutely. In fact, there should be caution. But I want to ask you, in the last 13 days, several concerns were raised over, and this is the claim that had come in from the opposition parties, that the relationship between Iran and India was worsening ever since the war had started. Now, with this big diplomatic win, now that Indian tankers will be allowed to pass through that waterway, that choke point that has been blocked for other countries for now, do you think the relationship has improved? How do you see this panning out between the two countries?
I don't think we should jump to conclusions in this manner. Relationship is not dependent on one incident or the other. It's always basically a continuum of different issues and different situations. What I would say really here is that relationship between India and Israel is more durable. It requires many more factors to build into this thing. Therefore, the need for us is to ensure that we remain neutral in the war, that we continue to basically support the principles of international conduct, that is not to attack a country, not to attack the territorial integrity and sovereignty of a country in the manner that it has happened in the case of Iran. That's all I would say. Till we continue to go by these principles, I'm quite certain that the relationship between India and Iran will continue to be strong. Let me also remind our listeners that relationship with Iran is not just bilateral. It requires really our access into Central Asia, Afghanistan. Please don't forget Chabahar, and also the connective way to Zahran. From Chabahar. Therefore, there is a lot involved there, and we need to continue to build up on the relationship.
All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. As far as the relationship between India and Iran are concerned, you can see, in fact, this is a big diplomatic win for the country. Our vessels will be able to pass through that choke point that is Strait of Hormuz. Thank you so much for connecting with us and bringing your perspective on. Let me also go across to my colleague Srinjoy, consulting editor. Good morning, Srinjoy. This is a big diplomatic win for the country. But do tell us about how many ships were stopped in the last 13 days, because we're learning, as far as the attacks are concerned, near that area, 20 vessels were attacked. There was one ship yesterday that was heading towards Gujarat as well. That also came under attack. But in a big diplomatic win, we're learning that now Indian vessels will be allowed to cross that choke point, Strait of Hormuz.
Even yesterday, as Times Now reported, the Indian Navy was ready, was on standby, because if ships were going to be pulled out of that area with Indian Navy as escorts, it was clear that neither the Iranians nor the Americans would cause any problems. Not to forget the Israelis, that the Americans, the Israelis, the Iranians, no one would cause any problems, any trouble if Indian Navy warships were to take Indian merchant ships or Indian tankers, escort them out of the Gulf, Persian Gulf, and principally the Straits of Hormuz. That was already clear. But now it appears that even escort duties will not be necessary the ships can come out on their own. That clear message has gone out, and that helps India's cause to a certain extent. Of course, prices will go off of crude oil, but even then, if petroleum supplies excuse me, are coming in, it helps India.
All right. Absolutely, because several of the tankers, their vessels carrying crude oil, were also stuck in Strait of Hormuz. And we're learning that two of the Indian tankers, Pushpak as well as Parimal, will be now getting the safe passage. This is a big diplomatic win for India, as well as the relationship between India and Iran are also concerned at a time when the war is going on. Thank you so much, Ranjoy, for getting us all those details.